congressman stood up in front of the Secretary of Homeland Security and asked her one question. Simple question. Yes or no? Based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Prey domestic terrorists? She had called them that hours after they were shot dead. Before any investigation, before any evidence. She had gone on national television and told America that a mother of 3 coming home from school drop-off was a domestic terrorist. All the congressman wanted in front of the entire country was for her to take it back. She refused 5 times. She was asked 5 times. She refused every single time. This is who was running the Department of Homeland Security. Before we get to the hearing, let me tell you who these 2 people actually were. Renee Good, 37 years old. Her brother said she was someone who could make you believe things were going to be okay despite all the hardship, because she chose optimism every single day. She was a mother of 3, a poet, a devout Christian. She was coming home from dropping her kids at school when she encountered an ICE operation. An ICE agent shot her 3 times. She bled out in her car. Her agents would not let a doctor near her. Hours later, before any investigation, before any facts, Kristi Noem called her a domestic terrorist. Alex Prey, also 37, Boy Scout, choir member, outdoorsman from Green Bay. His sister said he had a way of lighting up every room he walked into. He loved his dog, a dog named Jewel. He was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital. He spent his career comforting veterans in their final hours. He was standing on a street corner filming ICE agents, which is a constitutionally protected right. 8 federal circuit courts have said so unanimously. ICE agents pepper sprayed him, beat him, stripped his legally owned firearm, confiscated it, then shot him 10 times. Hours later, Kristi Noem called him a domestic terrorist who intended to kill law enforcement. Alex's parents responded publicly. They said, "The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting." Reprehensible and disgusting. From the parents of a man who spent his life taking care of dying veterans. That is what Kristi Noem did to these families. Now, here is what happened when Congress finally had her in the room. A congressman gave her a chance in front of the entire country to correct the... He asked her, based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Prey domestic terrorists? She said what happened in Minnesota was an absolute tragedy. He asked again, were they domestic terrorists? She said, my condolences to their families. He asked again, is that an apology for what you said? She said, we relay information from officers on the ground in a chaotic scene. He asked again, you didn't wait for the investigation, did you? Why did you call them domestic terrorists? She said, our ICE officers risked their lives. He asked again, do you regret it? She said, I offer my condolences. He asked one final time. Based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Prey domestic terrorists? She said, there are ongoing investigations, so I cannot. 5 times, the same question. 5 different non-answers. Not once, not a single time did she say the word no. Not once did she say I was wrong. Not once did she say I am sorry to these families for what I said about their loved ones. And here is what makes it even more damning. Her own acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, had already come before Congress and admitted he had no knowledge whatsoever that Renee Good and Alex Prey were domestic terrorists. Her own guy, the head of ICE, said it was wrong. He retracted it. She would not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're fighting for American citizens, Madam Secretary,
Today
because your ICE agents shot them in the face and killed them, and each person you see up on this dais today represents 800,000 American citizens. And you should know that as a former member of Congress. Now, Her brother said that Renee Good was someone who could make you believe things were going to be okay despite all the hardship because she chose optimism. Alex Preddy was a Boy Scout, a choir member, an outdoorsman from Green Bay who lavished attention on his beloved dog, Jewel. His sister called her brother someone who had a way of lighting up every room that he walked into. But only a few hours after they were gunned down by your agents, you called Renee a domestic terrorist. You said Alex committed an act of domestic terrorism. Alex's parents responded to your calling their son a domestic terrorist. They said, the sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. And I want to give you a chance before the entire country to correct your false and defamatory claim. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
Congressman, what happened in Minnesota in those two incidents was an absolute tragedy.
Were they domestic terrorists, as you said to the country?
My condolences to their families, because I know that their lives will never be the same after that happened.
Is that an apology for what you said?
We, in those incidents, offer as much information as we can from officers and agents on the ground in a chaotic scene that gets
I'll repeat my question, reclaiming my time. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
As you know, there's ongoing investigations that are being led by the
FBI.
FBI.
But you didn't wait for the investigation, did you? You didn't wait for the evidence. You proclaimed that they were domestic terrorists at the time. Why did you do that?
And you didn't wait to attack our law enforcement.
Why did you do that?
Are going into a dangerous situation.
Why did you call them domestic terrorists?
Is our ICE officers and our HSI officers that day risked their lives to protect that scene, so evidence could be reclaimed, so it could be used in the investigation. Because those violent rioters that were
So you're
there
proud of the fact
would
that
have-
you called them domestic terrorists? Is that what
those
you're telling America?
individuals, HSI officers put their lives on the line to protect that scene, so evidence, so we could have.
Yes, they do.
thorough
Yes,
and
they do. But you
accurate
told a lie
investigation.
about them. You said that they were domestic terrorists. Do you regret that?
I offer my condolences to those family, and again,
Based on what
we'll
you
tell
know
them that
today,
when
were
the
Renee
chaotic
Good
scene
and
on the
Alex
ground,
Preddy domestic terrorists?
There's ongoing investigations, and so I
So
cannot.
you still don't know. You think that's an open question?
I would think you would want there to still be investigations going into these situations.
Well, you
So we'll
stated the
continue to
conclusion
work that
2 hours after they were killed that they were domestic terrorists. I wanted to give you an opportunity to correct the record, not just for their family, but for everybody in America who believes in the truth and fairness and honesty.
Let me tell you what just happened in that clip. Kristi Noem is not stupid. She understood the question perfectly. She understood exactly what was being asked of her. She was being asked to admit she lied. And she could not do it. Not because the investigation is ongoing. Her own ICE director already retracted the domestic terrorist claim. The investigation has already produced enough information for the head of ICE to say we were wrong about these two people. She could not do it. Because admitting she lied means admitting she smeared two dead American citizens for political cover. Think about what that smear actually accomplished. The moment Noem called Renee Good a domestic terrorist, the story stopped being about an ICE agent shooting a mother of three in the face. It became about whether Renee Good was dangerous, whether the shooting was justified, whether ICE was protecting America from threats. The moment she called Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist, the story stopped being about a VA nurse being shot 10 times for filming police on a public street. It became about whether he posed a threat, whether he had a weapon, whether the agents feared for their lives. That is the entire purpose of the smear. Change the story. Shift the focus. Make the victim the suspect. And she did it within hours. Before any investigation, before any evidence, because the goal was never the truth. The goal was to get through the news cycle without anyone focusing too long on the fact that Kristi Noem's agents had just shot two American citizens dead in the same city 17 days apart. But the congressman was not finished. After Noem refused 5 times to retract the domestic terrorist label, he shifted tactics. He told her, "If you cannot handle the facts, let us try simple questions of law, not trick questions. Yes or no." Question 1. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for engaging in peaceful protest and nothing else? Noem said no. Question 2. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for filming them on a public street? Noem said no. Question 3. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person just because that person is lawfully carrying a holstered firearm under the Second Amendment? Noem said no. Question 4. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot an innocent person just for driving away from them, according to the Supreme Court? Noem said no. 4 times. She confirmed that every single thing her agents allegedly did to Renee Good and Alex Prey was unlawful. And then the congressman said, "I am glad you got the law right. I hope you would rethink what you said about 2 good, honest, faithful American citizens." And Noem sat there and said nothing. She just confirmed that what her agents did was illegal. And she still would not apologize for calling their victims domestic terrorists. She confirmed the law. She refused accountability for breaking it. That is not a mistake. That is a choice.
I will tell you the investigation's still ongoing, and we'll...
So do you regret speaking before the investigation?
I would say that in those situations,
You regret
the
that?
chaotic scene on the ground, we relay information to the American people that they're asking for. And as things change, situations change.
People
we
were
continue
asking
to
you whether they were
communicate that
domestic
as well.
terrorists?
We
And you
continue to
decided that they were
communicate.
before the investigation?
As we learn more, we
You don't want to say anything to their families?
I did. I said condolences.
For what?
And I'm
How about an
heartsick for
apology
their
for what you said about their loved
My
ones?
heart is with them, and we will continue to stand with them as they get a complete investigation into these situations.
All right. Well, let me ask you some questions of law if you can't handle the facts. Very simple questions of law, not trick questions. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for engaging in peaceful protest and nothing else? That's a yes or no question.
Each instances in peaceful protests, no, it's not.
Okay,
But I
good.
would say
Is it
if-
lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for filming them on a public street? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person just because that person is lawfully carrying a holstered firearm under the Second Amendment in state law?
No.
And finally, yes or no, is it lawful for federal agents to shoot an innocent person or even a criminal suspect just for driving away from them, according to the Supreme Court?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got the law right, and I hope you would rethink what you said about 2 good, honest, faithful American citizens and what that means to their families when you say that as Secretary of Homeland Security. And your ICE guy has already retracted that, and you should retract it too. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Here's what we just watched. The Secretary of Homeland Security went before Congress, was asked 5 times to retract a lie she told about 2 dead American citizens, refused every single time, was then walked through 4 basic questions of law, confirmed that everything her agents allegedly did to those citizens was illegal, and still would not apologize. Her own ICE director retracted the domestic terrorist label. She would not. The parents of Alex Prey called her statements reprehensible and disgusting. She offered condolences. Condolences. Not an apology, not a retraction. Condolences. As if she had nothing to do with what happened. As if she was a bystander expressing sympathy rather than the person who ran the agents who killed their son and then called him a terrorist on national television. And through all of this, Trump said nothing. He watched his Secretary of Homeland Security get eviscerated in a congressional hearing for refusing to retract lies about dead American citizens. He said nothing. He watched federal judges across the country call her officials liars. He said nothing. He watched her spend $242 million on luxury jets. He said nothing. He only fired her when it became too embarrassing to defend on television. Not because of Renee Good, not because of Alex Prey, not because of their families who are still waiting for someone in power to say, we were wrong, we lied, we are sorry. Those families are still waiting, and they will keep waiting because the people responsible are already moving on. New titles, new positions, new cycles, but Renee Good's 3 children do not get to move on. And Alex Prey's parents, who watched their son get called a domestic terrorist by the Secretary of Homeland Security, do not get to move on either. Remember their names. Renee Good. Alex Prey. Not domestic terrorists, not threats, not statistics. A mother who chose optimism. A nurse who lit up every room. Shot dead by their government. Smeared by the people who ordered it. And never, not once, given the apology they deserved. That is what happened. And the people responsible are still in Washington. Share this video, because Renee and Alex deserve to be remembered as who they actually were. Subscribe. New video every week. Drop a comment. Do you think their families will ever get a real apology? Because nothing we have seen suggests that is coming.